The ramifications of federal Labor government's climate policy are becoming clearer and clearer and more disturbing. Not only is there the headlong rush to close down most of our reliable supplies of affordable power in the hope that somehow we can build wind turbines and install solar panels from China at breakneck speed over the next 8 years, not only is there the forlorn hope of getting enough gas, pumped hydro and batteries into the system to keep the lights on when the wind doesn't blow and the sun doesn't shine, but now we learn that Australian taxpayers will be in the hole for several $billion a year in climate aid for third world countries, seeking compensation for climate damage supposedly done by the West's economic advance. This is the big push emerging from the latest COP climate meeting in Egypt that's dominated by African countries seeking handouts from the West to compensate for their corruption and incompetence at home. And on this point, the Pacific Islands, our near neighbours, are much the same. The UK government, last year's COP host in Glasgow, has already conceded the principle of climate reparations. That's essentially a climate tax on richer countries so that poorer countries can have a better standard of living without needing to develop in the usual way. But China and India, despite being already economic superpowers, according to the UN definition, are still classed as developing countries, meaning they'll be exempt from paying this climate tax and can keep on developing their fossil fuel power. In the case of China, the biggest strategic risk the West has faced in generations, they're pushing on at breakneck speed, opening more coal-fired power stations in a year than Australia's total. Now, this means lower living standards here in Australia and more of our dwindling heavy industries and jobs migrating offshore. At least some Labor insiders are starting to wake up. Today, the Queensland head of the Australian Workers' Union denounced the Palaszczuk government's plans to eliminate coal as a debacle and said that green hydrogen was a pipe dream. Now, by all means, let's reduce emissions, but not at a massive cost to Australian jobs and our cost of living. We've got to be measured, we've got to be steady, and we must ensure the playing field with countries like China is fair. I think Australians are only just waking up to what climate action really means for them and their family. And in a memo to the Teals, the Greens and Labor, Australians don't like it and they can't afford it. Today in Question Time, the opposition leader Peter pushed the Prime Minister on whether he would rule out Australia paying this UN climate change tax.
Prime Minister, the Coalition has ruled out paying compensation to other nations for the effects of climate change. Will the Albanese government also rule out signing Australia up to compensating other countries as part of the deal being negotiated at COP27 in Egypt?
And listen, in his response, the PM sounds off. Listen carefully. He doesn't rule it out.
One of the things I won't do is in front of a boom mic make a joke about our island neighbours down. That's one of the things that I won't do. I won't do that. And I won't do that because I want to build good relations with our Pacific neighbours.
Let me tell you, this issue will be the political fight of the next few years, as Labor will move to pay billions in so-called climate reparations overseas, this UN climate tax, and the Coalition today saying they rule it out.